Rex first to get up and say a statement, and we'll have Suzie.
Thank you, Evan. This is a loud microphone. Yes, it is. Maybe I'll put it out here. Hi, I'm Rex Richardson. Proud to be the vice mayor of this incredible city, Long Beach. I've served on the city council for 8 years. I'm joined tonight by my wife, Dr. Nina Richardson, who's in the back, my 2 daughters, Alina and Mila. We are approaching bedtime. And the first time I actually stepped foot on this campus was when I was actually looking at the child care center here, and I learned a lot. That not only do you support, survivors of the Holocaust, but a broader set of the Long Beach community. And that's really important to have organizations like this. And I do want to say, Happy New Year. I know Rosh Hashanah begins soon, so happy and healthy New Year to you. I want to tell you a little bit about myself. I came here for college, but I'm not originally from Long Beach. I was born on Scott Air Force Base in Belleville, Illinois. My father was in the Air Force. My mother was a welder at General Motors. Her roots were actually in the South, down in Alabama. Small town, so small that when I lived down in Alabama, my 2nd grade teacher was my mother's 1st grade teacher, and my 5th grade teacher was my aunt. In this small town, my mother was one of the first 5 children to integrate her school because we had deep segregation and inequality in the South. And she was selected as one of the first 5 because her mother volunteered her. And I think about the bravery. She was 7 years old, the same age as my oldest daughter. I think about that bravery that was inspired into her by her mother, because her mother was a part of the civil rights movement. When Bull Connor said that black students couldn't attend the University of Alabama, my grandmother was out there protesting. Now that spirit of protest and standing up for civil rights and justice, those values passed on to my mom, and they passed on to me. So I'll tell you about a little bit of my work, how those values of equality and equity really have permeated through all the things that I do as a public leader. We moved around a lot as my mother and father divorced. I went to 14 public schools across 5 different states. I came to California on a Greyhound bus. I remember when we got here, it was my mom, it was my sister who's a year older than me, and my younger brother who's 4 years younger than me. We lived in a 2-bedroom apartment. My mother had a room, my sister and brother shared a room, and I slept on the couch, which is why I love to watch TV. When I was old enough, I got a job when I was 15, and I worked at Jack in the Box for minimum wage. And my mom, she worked at Arby's for minimum wage. And my sister worked at the local stationery shop. We were both in high school. My contribution to the household was to pay the Edison bill. And my sister paid the phone bill, and my mom paid the rent. We all contributed to make it work. I never forget when I was 17 years old, I received my college acceptance letter. It changed my life. To go to Cal State Dominguez Hills as a 1st-generation college student. It was there that I learned about leadership and service and advocacy. I became student body president. I got an apartment in Bixby Knolls. I got a job at Cal State Long Beach where I worked for the California Faculty Association. I met my wife on that campus. She's smarter than me. She went on to get her master's and doctorate at USC, fight on. And we got married at Long Beach Museum of Art, down on the Long Beach waterfront. Our 2 daughters were born at Long Beach Memorial. That sense of that values of equity and justice. When I got on the city council, I needed to put that to work. The Long Beach City Council, the city of Long Beach is a city with great needs, 17-year difference in life expectancy. We know the story, depending on the zip code that you live in and where you're born, right? The community that I represent in North Long Beach is one of those communities. My community, when I assumed office, was the only district in the city without a bank, but we were full of working families with check cashing places on every corner. We were the only district in the city without a library. We had the Old North Library in the 8th district, but we had more children going to school in 90805 than any zip code in the city. We were the only district in the city without a paramedic. It was 3 minutes slower to come to our side of town than any other part of town. And frankly, we didn't have a Starbucks. People can say what they want about corporate coffee, but when you have to leave your neighborhood to have a meeting and have coffee, there's something that's not happening, right? So when I got on the city council, I got to work. We organized neighborhoods. We went from four or five to 13 neighborhood associations across North Long Beach. and we delivered the district's first bank. We built the Michelle Obama Neighborhood Library. We invested in open space at the DeForest wetlands. We finally restored our paramedic services and reduced response times by 3 minutes. We did this because we worked together. Now across time. Well, thank you so much. By working together, I believe that we can make sure that all of our communities are healthy, safe, and thriving. Thank you so much. Suzie?
Thank you. First of all, Shana Tova, and I wish you all a Happy New Year. I want to just start off by saying hello to some of you who I've not yet met. I know I've met a lot of you as the council member for the 3rd District, but I want to just start by telling you a little bit about my life and my background. I was born here in the United States, but my parents are from another country. And at the age of 7, my mother and I left as political refugees. We fled a country that had, and continues to have, as of today, human rights violations that offered no protections or freedoms for women. When my mother and I came here at the age of 7, I learned how to speak English, and my mother learned how to thrive in a new country. She was a nurse. She worked first at UCLA at night, 7 to 7 in the morning, and she wanted a more stable job as a single mom, so she started to get into the school nurse program. She became a school nurse at LA Unified, and over the course of her 40 years of service as a school nurse at LA Unified, she brought on hundreds of immigrant women just like her to become school nurses for the LA Unified School District. And she retired after 40 years as a public school supervisor for LA Unified. My mother is my hero, and she taught me the importance of public service. She was raised by a single mother who was also a teacher. Education was very important to our family. It was never about making money, it was about education. My mother taught me the importance of public service, and so for that reason I have spent 23 years as a public servant. Been working, not in politics, but in public service. I've been working since I was 14 years old, worked my way through bachelor's degree at Long Beach State, master's degree, and then I went on to law school. I fell in love with this city when I moved here to go to Long Beach State. It was the first place where I really felt like I belonged. My mother and I struggled a lot. We had left behind my father and my sister. We were not allowed to go back into the country because of our political and religious beliefs, and so we were here while they were there. And that trauma caused both of us to have issues that kept us from thriving. It wasn't until I got to Long Beach State where I started to thrive. I got involved in student government, became student body president, and with President Maxson in his first year at the university, put the first shovels in the ground to build today's pyramid. I got to work with Mayor O'Neill, because she was the mayor at the time, and learned so much about this amazing city. What I learned about this city is that no matter what neighborhood you live in this city, the city has the ability to make you feel like you belong. It wraps its arms around you, and this city offers opportunity for everyone. Mark, my husband, and I are raising our 2 boys here. They went to the JCC. Sensei Mac was their Taekwondo teacher for many years. And we came to this campus on a daily basis to support the programs and to support our kids. We're involved in every aspect of our community and even built our small business here a few years ago. My day job involves me helping crime victims through some of the most traumatic situations of their lives. For many years, I prosecuted white supremacy gangs in many hate incidents involving the Jewish community. I now help manage our hate crimes unit in the district attorney's office. I'm also involved in all of our second chance programs. I have the privilege and the honor to work with Chief Gunshak of the Seal Beach Police Department on all of our re-entry programs and helping people get back into society and stabilize. As a councilwoman, I've been very involved in things that have helped my district as well as the city. Together, we've made environmental improvements to the Colorado Lagoon with the help of people like Andy and Helene, who have dedicated years of service to making sure that water project and restoration happens. We've added to, yes, We've added to economic development for the city, because if you're not fiscally responsible and you don't think about generating new revenue, you cannot represent the city. We built the second NPCH shopping center, which did not exist even as an idea when I took office. We developed a plan and built it within 3 years, and that tax revenue has helped our city in tremendous ways. I took the lead as the chair of the Public Safety Committee on police reform and accountability, bringing body-worn cameras to every police officer in this city. I look forward to being your next mayor.
Most of these questions are for both, so I'm going to ask, what are each of you doing in the area of criminal justice reform?
I'll start with that. So currently, I don't prosecute cases anymore. I'm a senior assistant district attorney, and I oversee our recidivism reduction unit, our mental health unit. I oversee our homeless court, our veterans court, our mental health court. We even have a court called Whatever It Takes Court. So if we can't find a place to put you to stabilize, we'll find a place for you. I oversee our AOT programs. There was a question about AOT, and I am leading in the county's administration of the CARES Corps program, which will come first to Orange County in 2023 and then come to LA County in 2024. I work closely with Chief Gunshak on a program that I architected called First Point. It's a program to address homelessness in our cities, in our communities. Orange County saw a 16% reduction in homelessness, and a lot of that has to do with the innovative approaches that we go about looking at diversion and giving people second chances and opportunities to connect with programs. In terms of criminal justice reform, I have supported training. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I believe that young people in our community are assets, and the system that we have all too often penalizes young people in a way that keeps them from employment and housing and succeeding in life. I know my family members have dealt with this. So when I joined the Long Beach City Council, I approached our city prosecutor. And I said, you know, brain data tells you that your mind is not fully developed until after you're 26. Why do we treat people as full adults under 26? We're unique in that we have our own prosecutor's office separate from the DA, and we can be creative in how we treat our young people as resources. So together, we built the PATH program, Promising Adults Tomorrow's Hope, that says we have tremendous resources and assets for young people in our community. And when they make a mistake and you're under 26, we connect you to Pacific Gateway Workforce Investment Network, we connect you to Long Beach City College, and if you make meaningful progress, not saying you need to complete your master's degree like my wife, but if you make meaningful progress in 6 months, then you never have to stand in front of that judge. Because data shows that our minds are more valuable to change, and we respond to positive interventions when we're at a young age. Thank you so much.
Next question was, our homeless population keeps growing, and what you're doing doesn't appear to be working. What do you propose to really help our homeless and solve the problem?
I think big question for 60 seconds, but I think we need to really talk about root causes of homelessness and how we can build our own capacity locally to address those root causes. Mental health and poverty. We have deep, deep poverty within our city. I'm proud of the work that we've done, and I'm proud of our plan to address housing and homelessness. We have a comprehensive plan called the HOPE Plan. Housing, outreach, pathways, meaning pathways into home ownership. I bought my first home when I was 25. That opportunity isn't available for young people today. Pathways into jobs, pathways into shelter, and lastly, expanding mental health services in our community. We need to show leadership. I'm proud to have built the city's first municipal housing shelter, the Atlantic Bridge community in North Long Beach, which helped pave the way for motel conversions and Project Room Creek. And back in 2020, I've been working to find ways and resources to build more housing. That's why I proposed a bond to build housing near schools, and housing for seniors, and housing for teachers in our community. Thank you so much.
Well, I go on homeless ride-alongs all the time as part of my day job. And I can tell you that housing is an important solution for some. But for most of the individuals that are experiencing chronic homelessness, what they need connection to is services. They cannot mobilize and progress unless they're stabilized. And so the number one thing that works, and we see it every day, is street outreach. Street outreach that is consistent and done on a daily basis where people feel like this person cares about me, they're showing up for me. So my proposal is, yes, we should always talk about root causes, but we saw a 62% increase in homelessness. This is not a doctoral thesis. We as city leaders need to put into place some practical solutions today. So my proposal is that we contract with 9 community-based organizations. We pay them a monthly contract fee to help augment our existing services. We place 1 in each district to conduct daily street outreach for 2 solid weeks until the person accepts services and gets connected. Thank you.
Question, how do you propose to help small businesses thrive? Name specific policies or investments to support job creation, I think.
Well, I'm the only candidate running for mayor who owns a small business and is a job provider. My husband and I own a brick and mortar shop on 2nd Street. Before the pandemic, we had 15 female employees. We will hire men too. It's just an industry related to beauty, so only women apply. But we had 15 employees. We went down to 2, and we're now back up to about 11. I can tell you as a business owner, it is incredibly stressful to run a business. It is an opportunity, but also a burden to have to provide for income for another human being. Especially in our business where we have some single moms and we have people who rely on us to do well so that they can provide for their families. As your next mayor, I'm going to make sure that the city invests in businesses. Up until recently, we allocated $0 to business recruitment and retention. That is shameful for a city of this size. My proposal is that we set a threshold for our sales tax, and anything above that threshold goes into retention and recruitment of new businesses.
I think a part of the American dream is being able to buy a home, start a business, make investments, and provide wealth for your family. My wife and I, we chose to go into real estate. That's what we did. We own rental property in the city. It's one of the smartest decisions we ever made. What I'll tell you is, in the part of town I've represented, in North and Central and West Long Beach, businesses don't make it past 3 years. It's been difficult just to attract simple restaurants, let alone retain the businesses that we have. And so we've had to work hard to look someone in the eye, shake their hand, and bring them into our community. So I'm proud that I launched a program, I led on City Council called Kiva. This is crowdfunding loans, where the average person in the city can help support your local bakery, your local coffee shop with building 0 interest and 0 fee capital loans that we can provide to them to invest in capital. I also think that we need a promotion fund similar to what we have with our convention center in downtown, that says revenues we generate in the city can help promote and retain businesses in our city. It's on our economic blueprint that we just voted on at our Economic Development Committee. Thank you.
The next question actually is funny because I dealt with this problem when I was on the city council. And that was 30 years ago. Bicycles, scooters are proliferating and are not being ticketed for infractions. I was told that the police have been told to stand down regarding bicyclists who do not follow the law, run red lights, etc., and have witnessed police officers ignore violators. Will you change this problem? If and so how?
So, a few things. So, in the community I represent in North Long Beach, the intersection of Atlantic and Artesia was one of the deadliest intersections in our entire city, right across from Jordan High School. And we had a number of fatalities, young people and parents attempting to cross the street. And the reality is, we are insufficiently funded for real traffic safety in our city. So beyond scooters and bikes, which I'll address, I think we have to really commit to zero, our commitment to no more fatalities in our city, and invest in the infrastructure and the planning to build safer streets. Secondly, I think that adding additional elements, scooters and last mile, important elements, but also complicate our ability to use the public right of way. So we have to invest in absolutely enforcement, But we also have to think about how we share the curb, how Uber and Lyft, how we design, number one, our bike lanes to not necessarily have those green buoys, but integrate with our streets to make it look good. So the answer is really, it's going to require investment and planning. Thank you.
So I've been advocating for many years for fully staffing our police traffic unit. In the police department, the department that enforces speed laws, bicycle laws, and pedestrian laws is generally the traffic department. We are currently budgeted for 20 positions in our traffic division, but we only have 6 officers. We have 14 vacancies, and we cannot attract more officers to our traffic division. If you're interested in hearing my comments about that at Public Safety and City Council, reach out to me tomorrow and I'll send you the clip. I've been advocating for more traffic police officers because that is the only way that we can make sure that we have better enforcement of our traffic, our bicyclists. The one thing that I will tell you is that we have a situation right now where some people don't want a lot of the bike infrastructure that we have, but also some people believe that having that bike infrastructure actually leaves the sidewalks more for pedestrians. We need to make sure that we have more enforcement and more education through our Office of Safety Traffic Grant for bicycle education.
What are your thoughts about rent control?
I'm against rent control. I think rent control actually has an unintended consequence. I just hosted a workshop in my council office where we invited housing providers. We had about 40 or 50 housing providers. I believe some of you were there. And we brought the city in to educate them on the topic of working with the city to use Section 8 vouchers to make existing housing stock available to a lot of our homeless population and low-income population. We have a lot of existing housing stock, and if we can get housing providers to come on board and partner with the city, we can make so much more capacity for affordable housing than we have presently. We don't need to wait 3 to 5 years to build a new affordable housing development. That will help, but in the meantime, if we can get landlords to help us do some Section 8 vouchers, we can do a good job. When the state capped the rent or raised the rent, or not raise the rent, put a cap on rent increases, every landlord in that room raised their rent because they needed to get to market, and that was an unintended consequence for the renters we were trying to help.
Thank you. We have a real problem with affordability in our community. And as a landlord and as a former renter, who grew up as a renter, I know that you can't on one hand say we have a homelessness crisis, and on the other hand, say that we don't want to make sure that we protect tenants. I support what we have in place, which is the state rent cap, 5%, with CPI is the max. That's what I support. And I support strong tenant protections to make sure that we keep as many people in their homes as possible. Because when they cascade out of their homes, they end up in RVs and on our streets. So we have to think comprehensively about keeping people in their homes while also addressing root causes and building housing. So there isn't a one or the other. I think we have to be real with our residents. Rent control already exists in some form in Long Beach. To say you do support or don't support, I think the real question is the way that we maintain what we have, protect landlord rights and investment, while also investing in tenant rights, is by leading with empathy and being real about the situation in our streets where we have the majority of renters in our city are rent narrative, meaning they spend more than 50% of their income on housing. And that is a problem that we need to think comprehensively about and address with urgency and empathy. Thank you.